We've started video. We got to end that. Got to mute that. Got to open a tab there. See if I remember how to do that part. I sure do. Okay, here we go. Hold on. There we go. All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1.
And here it is, the greatest advance in television since color television itself. The ultimate in performance and convenience.
When you make it with milk, it's extra good.
The Morning Stream. 2 weeks? There's no such thing as 2 weeks in the news business.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to TMS. It's the morning stream for Tuesday, July 11th, 2023. I'm Scott Johnson with the returning Brian Ibbett. Hello, Brian.
Hello. The divot is still warm from Bobby, who did a great job. Thank you again, Bobby, for filling in.
Yeah.
Very last minute.
Yeah, it was kind of last second. The whole weekend felt like a bunch of a series of last seconds, like, you know.
Yes, it really was. It really was. Like Film Sack, both Saturday and Sunday, we all woke up thinking Film Sack was, well, you guys woke up thinking Film Sack was going to happen. I woke up much earlier than all of you, realizing that Film Sack wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, I think we got a message on Saturday at 4 a.m. or something. You were up?
Yeah, it was 3. Yeah, Tina woke me up. Well, let's get into that, right?
Yeah, let's just talk about it.
In case you don't read my threads, threads.whatever/Coverville. Threads.tv, LU, what is it? Is it Threads?
I don't even know. I think it's threads.net, I think, but the web version doesn't even work yet, so just
No,
use
it doesn't
the app.
even work, so don't even go to threads.net.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Tina, the day after 4th of July, had started feeling sick, like she was having a cold, and it started with like a sore throat and some congestion, so I was dealing with making sure she was taken care of in that sense of things, like, hey, do you need anything? You want some soup? Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
That started on Wednesday. Thursday kind of got a little bit worse. Friday, she sent me to the store, and I'll talk about that as a whole separate story.
Oh, was that when this happened? Okay.
That's when story number 2 happened. Yeah. And, but things, just slowly not getting better, and a little bit of chest congestion and pain and sore throat and just not, weakness, just not doing well.
Sure.
Saturday morning, she says, or it's Friday night, she says, if I'm not feeling better tomorrow morning, then I'm just going to take myself to urgent care.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, makes sense.
Sure.
So Saturday morning, she gets up. I've got all my stuff queued up for Film Sack. She wakes up and says, I need you to take me to urgent care. I'm feeling weak. It feels like pneumonia to me. She's had it before. This is her second bout with it, or third, maybe second or third bout. Second bout. And she says, I think that's what it is, but I'm just going to go there. We'd been doing COVID tests, both of us, all week long, which is kind of fun. It's like, remember when we were doing this all the time in 2021?
Mm-hmm.
It's just so much fun.
Yeah.
So we get her over to urgent care. They basically confirm. By the way, this urgent care place, it's called Care Now. It's over by us. It's in network, so thankfully it's inexpensive. Make sure you check on those people, because sometimes if they're out of network and you don't know they're out of network, it's going to cost you a fortune. Sure. They've got TVs in their waiting room. The TV, apparently all the TVs, because there's some in the medical offices as well for when they take a while to get to you. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the Gene Wilder one, on a loop. And we walked in as the kids were going into the candy factory.
Yeah.
Tina walked out when Cheer Up Charlie was playing on its second go round.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
Yeah.
That was either a really fast appointment or a long one, because
it was a really long one. Like, the movie had looped around to the beginning of the second one before Tina. Far better than Fox News Stoic Squirrel, absolutely. So I get to listen to that while I was sitting in the lobby playing Marvel Snap, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
She comes out and says, yeah, it's pneumonia. I'm like, all right, well, let's get you home. Let's get you squared away. And of course, prior to any of this stuff, I had reached out to all the Film Sack guys and said, hey, can we push to tomorrow? This is kind of emergency thing came up. And thinking that that was, that we'd basically figured out pneumonia, and we were just going to take care of that, and she'll be right as rain in a few days. Sunday morning, I'm woken up by Tina at about 3:30 in the morning. Brian, I'm having a hard time breathing. My chest is really hurting. You got to take me to the emergency room.
Yeah.
I'm out of bed like a rocket, packing up, all right, what do you need? Toothbrush, grabbing stuff, throwing in the bag.
Yeah.
Getting there and getting a couple things for me because I know it could be there a while. So
Yeah.
Again, iPad, phone,
Sure.
bottle snap.
Do you have your like a bag nearby? It's like a go bag type thing, or you
No,
just
because I mean, why would we? Like, it's not like she's 8 months pregnant. We know it could be any time. This is like, we've got the one that has our collection of passports and wads of money in foreign increments. But
Of course.
that's a whole different go bag, and that's buried under the house.
Sure.
We get her to the emergency room, and sure enough, they say, yeah, it looks like it's spread to the other lung, so you now have double pneumonia, and we're going to admit you into the hospital.
Can I tell you how embarrassed I am to only have learned when you told us about double pneumonia? In my lifetime, I always just thought it was like extra bad. It didn't actually mean both lungs like doubled up, like lung number 1 and 2.
Join the club. It like when you finally makes sense. Like when you hear it's like, oh well, that makes sense. You get pneumonia. I didn't know you just got pneumonia in one lung, because I thought when you have pneumonia, it's I
always figured it was the whole kit and caboodle, and you didn't separate it. So when people say, "Oh, double pneumonia," I'm like, "Oh, that's like two times as bad."
That's super bad pneumonia. Yeah, no, that was when they said, "Oh man," so it's spread to the other lungs and they have double pneumonia. I'm like, oh, and oh.
I know, right? You both learn something and then learn something. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. So we get her into a hospital room, and they're basically, her chest pain is still really bad. She's still having a hard time breathing. They've got her hooked up to oxygen. They're trying to do everything they can to mitigate everything. And finally, in early afternoon, after being there for 6 or 7 hours, she's the pain is lessening. She's breathing a lot better. And she's doing great. So, well, doing great, doing better.
Doing better. Yeah.
Doing better.
Yeah.
And, kind of, is still joking. She's, in good spirits the whole day. Not like, woe is me. She's like, joking around with me, and we're chit-chatting. And so, I had tickets to see Sparks for the first time as just the band, because I saw them with Franz Ferdinand when they were FFS,
Right.
a little joint project that they did with Franz Ferdinand for one album. And I told her, I said, well, I'll call George and see if he wants to take Barb or one of his daughters or something like that. And she's like, no, you're going. And I was fully prepared and said it even again. No, I'll stay with you. There's no fun being in the hospital alone. She says, what are you going to do? Watch me watch HGTV and fall asleep?
Oh, man.
for several hours?
That's a really solid point, Tina.
That's a great point. I can only take so much of House Hunters. Bill and Elaine are looking for a small 2-bedroom to potentially raise a family. Blah, blah, blah. So after after I gave her 2 chances, I said, no. Oh, no. And then finally said, okay, 2 chances. And she allowed me to go. So Sunday night went and saw Sparks with Uncle George. Get in there bright and early Monday thinking, we're going to get you out of here pretty quick. And actually, you know what? I take that. I shouldn't preface it like that, because the folks there at Lutheran Hospital were fantastic. They took good care of her. They, everybody who came in. So during the ER time, she'd have a lot of people coming in to take vitals or change an oxygen tank or something like that.
Right.
And everybody who came in as they were leaving say, I hope you feel better soon. And it didn't feel like a thanks for coming, have a nice day kind of like you're trained to say this. It's like it just felt like a genuine thing that they said on their way out. Like
not just
I'm sure they say it to every
platitudes.
customer or every patient, but
I'm
but
not a big fan of empty platitudes, so it's always nice to hear when people They sound like they mean it. I wouldn't
Totally.
doubt it either. That sounds like a very nice thing for any hospital, Lutheran or not. It sounds like the way to
Yes.
live, That's good.
Exactly.
Nothing wrong with that.
So about noon, they started the discharge process. Took about an hour and a half. Got her home at about 1:30, and that's where she's been ever since. She's upstairs resting right now. Kitty rubbing against her legs. And now we have this extra fun thing. She's got, because she still needs oxygen for a few more days until she gets her strength back up. We have a concentrator, which is a roller bag sized machine that sounds like Darth Vader learning how to breathe when he first initially got his respirator on.
Okay.
Shortly after, no, it's what Darth Vader sounded like. And so she's got a 50-foot tube connected to that, so she can kind of get around the whole house wherever she needs to go. But you know who likes long stringy things are two cats.
Oh my gosh, I'll bet they're loving that. Yeah.
We're basically, armed with spray bottles to spray them anytime they come near that thing. But
how far can she go tethered like that? Is it a pretty good length on that thing?
it's 50 feet, so she can get anywhere she wants in the house. And we've got like portable tanks that we can hook her up to on a little like a little miniature dolly.
Yeah.
Like the regular oxygen tanks are probably 3 feet tall, and then it's just like a little wheel dolly that's the size of those tanks with wheels and a stand, so that she can plug in her little hose to that, walk around. If she needs to go outside and water her plants or something, she can do that. So
I blame Denver Fan X for this. Somebody gave her something there. That's what
we think. Yeah, and it's we were wondering about that because it's bacterial, not viral. And so I don't know where she would have gotten it, but we were around people for 4th of July. We were around people, prior to that. But the largest number of people in those stupid streams of you've got to get into the stream to walk through the vendor area. The con seems like the most likely.
It's a pretty good ground zero theory, I think.
It feels like it, right? It's like, yeah, that's definitely seems like the most likely place.
Well, I'm really glad she's feeling better and feeling better all the time. That's the important thing.
Me too. And we were listening on the way back to your TMS with Bobby on the way home from the hospital, and hearing your description of barf all over the place and and diarrhea and all that stuff. I said, I'd still rather deal with your pneumonia than the stuff that Scott had to deal with last week. She's like, yeah, I'm kind of with you.
It's funny because we had a similar thing. I said, oh no, Tina's in the hospital. Kim's like, what's wrong? And I said, it sounds like pneumonia. This is before we knew it was confirmed.
Yeah.
And I guess it was just Saturday that we were talking, and she goes, oh, that's awful. I think I would rather have what happened to us happen than have to deal with that. And I said, I'll bet they would say the opposite, because when you're in the middle of this, it's just like, anything feels better than what you're going through, right? But like I even asked Carter, I said, would you rather have this again, this nightmare double dragon again, or like just a really horrible, congesty, awful, 2-week chest flu thing? And she says, oh, I'd take this. I'm like, all right, I understand what they mean. They don't mean I'd take this plus no water, please. They don't mean that.
That's the thing. Yeah, a day, 24 hours of everything coming out both ends. I'd rather do that. But when you couple it with the perfect storm of no running water in the house, and you're basically Fateful Eight out in the cabin with
we're living Little House on the Prairie times for 4 days.
Yes,
and
exactly. It was
bad. It was really bad.
Yeah.
May it never shadow my door again is my hope.
For either of us, this business.
Yeah.
So that Friday morning before we knew it was pneumonia, she sent me to the store to pick up a couple things, her Mucinex that she likes, that she prefers when she's sick. Could you go treat me to some Mucinex?
Make sure you get the kind I like, because I'm not taking that kind I don't like. Yeah.
Exactly. So she sends me out there. I run over to our local King Supers. It's also called City Market in some places. I can't think of what else. There's another thing that it's called in other parts of the country. And I score the best parking space. It is the one closest to the entrance that's not the if you're just going in to get a Starbucks order that you placed
Right.
parking spot, which is the one kind of in front and to the right of me. So it's like those pull in diagonal style spaces.
Oh, those are good, and nothing's better than that unless if you're handicapped, you got even a slightly better one. But for the most part, that is like the primo spot in the.
It's the
parking lot.
primo spot. So I run in, I grab the things that she wants. I come back out just in time to see a car pull into the space opposite me.
Yeah.
And push into my car and hit my car and kind of like push it. Like, it's
Like push it like out of the way, push it?
like push it from the front. So basically we're both parked in head first.
Yeah.
And this other car is like pushing my car back a little bit because it's not just hit me, but it's continuing to push me back a few inches.
Why?
And because I parked in this very front spot, it was easy for me to see, like coming right out of the store. I'm like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh my gosh, witnessing that first. It's one thing to find out
Yes.
it happened later. It's another to see it.
So I go up to the driver of the white car, this car pushing in me,
Yeah.
and I'm like waving my hands, and a little old lady turns and looks at me like and gives me a big smile and waves back, and I'm like, no, I'm not waving to say hi. And I'm gesturing. She's got her window up, so I'm having to gesture, you hit my car. And I do my two fists hitting against each other like this. Like, bam, you, bam, my car right there.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
Because you still have not turned your car off, and I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And finally, she rolls down her window. I said, "You're hitting my car right now. You are pushed into my car." She's like, "Oh," I said, "Yeah, you're like, stop pushing your car forward anymore. You've hit my car."
Yeah.
Oh dear! I swear to God, it's like Sylvester's mom from the Warner Brothers cartoons. Is
Oh, I love
basically
her.
who's-
She's amazing. Always taking care of the bird, making sure the bird doesn't die. I love it.
So she backs up, she turns off her car, and she gets out. And I show her like this of white paint now on my front panel, front right panel. And I'm like, oh man, this is yeah. Did you not feel my car?
The
that
resistance?
there's some pressure pushing against your car as you were going forward. It's like,
Yeah.
well, no, I didn't. And she's parked at this dumb angle. Like she pulled in. What's weird is there was a big puddle because it had rained a lot the day before, and this big puddle right where she parked. And if she would have parked in straight, she would have been able to step out onto dry land and go into the store. But the way she parked at an angle, she was basically going to be, and did, have to step in this giant pond to get out of the car. So I don't know if she was like, oh, I'll avoid the pond by driving in at this angle, and then just completely screwed that up.
Did she share with you her documentation and all that?
She did not. So she comes and looks at the quarter panel.
Yeah.
And is like, oh gosh. And I'm like feeling like, oh yeah, here's a little part where like she's actually taken some paint off.
Yeah.
Here is what she does. And it is, I wish if it wouldn't have felt so aggressive, I would have taken my phone out and videoed this.
All right.
She licks her thumb
Oh, shut up, dude.
and starts wiping off the white paint off of my bumper like it's a chocolate chip cookie smudge on a grandson. She's licking her thumb and wiping it off, and then she licks her thumb again and wipes it off. Now, keep in mind, I drive on the highway. There's bugs. Who knows what I've run into?
Oh,
What's in my car? And she keeps putting that same thumb back to her tongue and licking and wiping off the paint. Granted, it was a good 4-inch square chunk of white paint. She doing this process. She got it down to where we could see, oh yeah, here's where you actually took paint off my car.
Yeah.
And I said, look, my wife's sick. I'm getting this medicine back to her. I don't have the time to deal with this right now.
Yeah.
You can, I even said something, you can lick your thumb all you want. You're not going to replace the paint that you pulled off my car. And she just keeps on. So
I mean, she sounds like she might be toward the end of her license ability to carry a license.
For sure. Like. Tina said, yeah, if you weren't in a hurry, you probably should have called the police, and because this enters into Adult Protective Services territory where it's like, yeah, we might need to take your keys away. You're not, this is the sign of something far worse if you're not even able to tell that you're running into people in a parking lot.
I just think the funniest reaction ever is to get out and lick your finger and say, oh, I can just buff this out.
If I ever get in a car accident, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go up to the other car with, a smushed in fender and be like, trying to like get it.
See, it's buffing right out. It's coming right out.
This giant, bumper sitting on the ground. Let me lick that and see if I can get it to get back up on your car.
Greg asked the question I was gonna ask. Maybe she'd give you some hard candy to make this all go away. No.
She tried. It was like a peppermint, but it was in the candy dish, so stuck to all the other peppermints in the candy dish, it came out as one giant peppermint candy.
And everything smells like a mix of aqua velva and coffee somehow. That's the smell of her house.
Somehow, yes, exactly.
That is
sort of sanitization.
That is an amazing story. That may be my favorite thing to come out of all of this. Think of it this way.
Yeah.
Tina made the great sacrifice of acquiring double pneumonia so that you could go experience this.
So I could experience this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's good.
Wow. The sacrifices our wives make. It's amazing. That's great. And I hope she just continues today to just keep feeling better.
I'm sure she will. She's going to rest. She's going to, let me take care of her and get whatever she needs. Going to the Walgreens. I'm not going to that damn King Soopers anymore.
But it's a shitty Walgreens, right? You always talk about it.
It is actually the shittiest Walgreens. So I used to take the one of the gigs that I do is those laptops, right? Where they send the laptops in from people leaving this company. Yeah. I clean them because I'm the only guy who knows Mac in their company, and I'm not even their company. Yeah. I clean them, put a new, make sure everything's updated, refresh it so that basically when they open up, they get that hello, bonjour, bienvenue, and all that stuff so that they can get in there and plug in their own information.
Sure.
And Walgreens is also a FedEx location. You can drop off things and they'll take them and deliver it, or take it and then give it to FedEx who delivers it.
Sure.
And so I'd get these FedEx laptop boxes and I'd put the laptops in, seal them up, take them over to that Walgreens to the photo counter, and the same woman would always be there who would take her little scanner thing. She'd scan the label that I put on there, say, do you need a receipt? And I'd say no, because I've got one via email. I don't need your damn paper. And then she would take the box and she'd flip it on its end. And then like she was flipping it over to make sure there weren't any old labels on there.
Yeah.
And then just kind of let it fall on the counter the rest of the way. So think of it this way. She's
oh my gosh,
what's a good comparison? Let's say it's a PlayStation 5. You've got your PlayStation 5 in its horizontal arrangement.
Right.
And then you put it in its vertical arrangement, and then you provide just enough pressure to the side to let it go back to a second horizontal thing on its own with gravity.
It's weird that I can absolutely 100% visualize this. I've seen it before. I feel like I've seen this behavior before, and it doesn't have to happen this way.
Exactly. I know. It's FedEx is not going to put on their little white cloth gloves and gently carry it to their truck and gently place it onto onto the stack of other boxes. I know that they're going to be like, shug. I just don't need to see it right in front of me. I don't need to be reminded that this is the potential treatment it's going to get when it leaves my sight. I want to basically live in the ignorance that it's going to get treated wonderfully and friendly like.
Yeah, you just want to eat your medium rare freaking. Yeah.
I don't need to see the cow. No. I just want to enjoy my Wagyu burger.
There you go. That's it. I don't need to see it slaughtered all over some floor. I don't need that.
Exactly.
So be kind to the packages, everyone. That's the rule.
Yeah, I probably would have been more irritated if it was my laptop. But
Our PO box people are screwing up left and right because they got a new notification system. So they're supposed to let me know when something arrives there, and then they're supposed to send out a blast to let me know, and it's not working. We haven't been notified for like the last 6 packages, and so we just kind of keep going over there saying, "Did we get any? Is it possible you guys missed? Oh yeah, here's one." Burp, burp, burp. Anyway, I just want to throw a shout out. He knows why. Vincent Minucci sent me something really cool. We'll talk more about it on Play Retro. But sorry that took so long. It's because those people have a broken notification system, and Brian reminded me of it.
Horrible.
Speaking of broken things, we got broken stuff in the world. One of them is always the ice cream machine at a McDonald's, right? That's always, we hear about it all the time.
99% of the time, the ice cream machine's broken.
Well, we got a call about this, and I'll let him explain what's up.
My wife, 27.
That's not it. That's for Wendy next week. Here it is right here.
Hey guys, it's Gabe Lips again over in Wisconsin, listening to TMS 2475. Just got to the spot where you're talking about the Grimace Shake. Ironically, this past weekend I went out looking for one. Went to 3 McDonald's. All shake machines are broken. And I was thinking to myself, maybe there's a McRib locator, similar setup or website or whatever. Went and found it's called McBroken. And the ironic part is that it was also broken. They had a bunch of functions that were taken and it just wasn't working right. But yeah, they actually have a McRib locator version of the shake finder thing, I guess. So if you're still looking for one, use McBroken.com and see if you can find one. All right, thanks, guys.
So did you try to get one of those shakes at all during the Grimace
I
thing?
never tried the Grimace Shake. Yeah, if I'm if I'm having a milkshake, I'm actually going to an ice cream store, an ice cream shop, as opposed to going to McDonald's or anywhere else.
Yeah. The last thing that has natural anything in it is a purple shake at McDonald's. There's no way.
Exactly. The purple shake that continues to be thick even after it melts.
That's right. Oh gosh. And then also, what else? Oh, the memes that came from it, where people were doing fake videos of the aftermath. If you tried a Grimace Shake, it'd be, explosions or death, or you turn into a zombie or something. There was this whole meme thing, and at first I thought, these are funny. I like these. And then after about 1 billion of them, I said, I don't ever want to see one of these again. I've had it with your dumb meme.
Yeah.
Go away.
Yeah.
Not interested anymore. I think we're over it. His birthday came. We're done. Right?
Yeah, good.
Right? We can move on with our lives.
We can move on. Grimace is now, however much older he is, he's forgotten his angry ways of when he first started out, when he had extra arms and was evil.
Yeah.
But I'm here. I'm at McBroken.com, and this is amazing. It shows you all of the McDonald's, and all right, Colfax and Wadsworth, status could not be determined. 10,000 West Colfax Avenue in Lakewood, checked 119 minutes ago, machine broken. The one that's right by my house, checked also 118 minutes ago, machine working. I'd like to know because it sounds like they check these all at the same time.
Yeah, or they may have to be crowd reported. Somehow
but God, crowd reported wouldn't mean that they'd all be showing 118 minutes ago checked at the same time, unless somebody is actively driving around and they have a map of all the McDonald's and just.
I don't know. That's a good question. How would you get this data? Mine says up and down the Salt Lake Valley, 17.75% are broken. In New York, 38.78%. They have percentages.
Yes, I love the percentages on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ones near me, looks like the 2 near me are working, but most of the ones in the valley are down.
What's the time check on the 2 near you that are working when you click on the little green dot?
Let's see. This one right here is probably closest. Yeah. Timestamp 136 minutes ago.
Okay, interesting.
The West Jordan location. If I check another
this
one,
one's 118.
Oh, they're all saying 136 if I hover on them.
Yeah. Okay. So isn't that weird? But I really like Mac Addict 89's theory in the chat room. He says I think they use the ordering app, which is brilliant, right? Because if you open up the McDonald's app and say I'd like a milkshake, it'll either say currently not available or great. What size would you like?
Right.
And they're probably using some sort of API to simultaneously order a shake from every McDonald's in the Denver metro area.
Yeah, it's why I really like this site. Actually, it's very useful.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the Harriman location. I could definitely go get one there.
There you go. But
Oh, this is cool. You hover over them on the side, and they blink at or light up over there, almost like we're watching a movie, where it's like, there he is, get him, swarm,
that's
swarm.
awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like a good site like that. All right. Well, thank you for that information. We appreciate the knowledge we now possess. Yeah. All right, Brian, it's time for this right here.
I don't watch the news.
We're going to do a little bit of news, and it's brought to you by
a header that's been in here since I think Tuesday or Wednesday. Grumpy James Jonathan employees.
So we were at Jimmy John's the other day, right after we were starting to feel better.
Wondering, okay.
We were just starting to feel better, and we're like, all right, what do you want to do? Oh, no, wait, was this pre-sick?
I want to say, I can look back. Let's see.
It would have been, I would have put it in on,
Yeah.
Oh, you know what it was? I put it in for Thursday. It happened Tuesday.
You had it in here July 5th, which was Wednesday.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Before the blowout.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So I put it in there before that, which means I experienced it the day before. So this happened to me on the holiday. We went to get Jimmy John's and to go sit somewhere.
Yep.
And by a river, by the park.
Not a parking lot, not the Home Depot parking lot.
No. It was like we wanted somewhere nice. We found some ducks and a river and a whole thing. So we did that. And but while we were at Jimmy John's, we went inside to get them because their drive up was crazy. So we went inside, and that was fine. We were the only people in there. And Kim goes up to the thing and says, "Here's what we want." And this guy, this stone-faced guy, seems so pissed at the cash register the whole time. No reason. We didn't do anything weird. We just said, "We'll take this one, and this one." And he goes, "Great." And she goes, "Can we get an extra pickle with each one of those?" And he goes, "Can you?" Like that to her face. And then after that,
was he doing the parent thing of like, "I'm sorry, may I have an extra pickle with each of those?" Like he was trying to correct your grammar usage.
The may or can could be. Now that you say that, I wonder, but not. Then after that, she goes, "And for the loyalty, because usually they ask for the card or the number."
Yes, right.
He goes, "Do you need that at all?" And he goes, "I don't need it."
Oh,
I was
jeez.
like, this guy's either having a real bad day, or he just got in a fight, or he's this close to quitting. And all I can think about is, please let him not be the one making the sandwiches, because somebody else back there be doing it. Thankfully, someone else did it, but he was a grumpy sack. And by the end, we were like, you could have had one of these magical Kim moments in your life. You didn't get to have it because you were so grouchy.
She had a casserole in the trunk just waiting to give to you if you would have been friendly at the cash register.
Yeah, or least,
you blew it.
At the least, she'd have passed him like a $5 or something, just to be, hey, thanks a lot. We know you guys are busy. Instead, he just actively, purposefully made it impossible to want to like that guy. Anyway, that's what that was about.
Jerk. The jerk store called.
They want that guy back.
They can have a pickle with you.
That's right. Can we get pickles with that? I don't know. Can you? What an a-hole. And I told anyway, it's a long story. I talked to the Jimmy John's manager there, and I just said, he might just be having a terrible day. I don't want him in trouble or anything, but, you probably ought to know.
Yeah, maybe talk to the guy.
And then I got sick, and I forgot all about it. All right. And no, it's not. We didn't get sick from Jimmy John's, okay? Whole different thing. Van never had it.
Carter didn't have any Jimmy John's, so you can't.
And Nick and Taylor and Dylan both got violently sick. They had nothing to do with that day, so yeah. All right, Maury Povitch is in the news. Maury Povitch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember that guy? He's a deal for a while.
Not the father.
That's right. And he's married to, Connie Chung, I think,
Connie Chung, yeah.
Still together.
That I don't know.
He's launching an at-home paternity test, fittingly called "The Results Are In." Is that a thing he used to say all the time or something?
Yeah. That was their whole, this show basically just devolved into, I think my baby belongs to Jed over here, and but it could be Jed's or it could be Bobby Lee's, and then they bring them both on the show.
It felt like early on. It felt like early on. It felt more like they were trying to do a legitimate talk show, and then later it just turned into this like Jerry Springer Jr. kind of
It was
thing.
basically right. You know, they all have good intentions at the start. Jerry Springer and Maury Povitch and all of these, and no, they basically, it's like, oh, we get a lot better ratings when we do these paternity test episodes. So I guess we'll just continue to do them.
It's like it's the entire TLC network to me. It's like they started out being literally called the Learning Channel.
Yeah.
It seemed like we were going to get like a Discovery, like, you know, here's some educational science thing. Here's a show all about science, whatever.
Right.
And then they turned around and said, nah, we're mostly about this midget family. Sorry, small person family. This two-headed girl.
Right. This 600-pound sisters or whatever.
Yeah.
A&E, right? Arts and Entertainment.
Yeah.
The A&E channel. Oh, look how highfalutin we're going to be. And, well, maybe we could put an asterisk next to arts.
Yeah.
And an asterisk next to entertainment as well.
I feel like it all says more about us than them because they clearly
does.
had to pivot to make the money or to make their channels relevant. And so why did they? Because we consumed it or demanded it, or clearly it wasn't good enough to just have science on TLC.
Mm-hmm.
They had to titillate us with a two-headed girl, you know?
If it's outrageous, it's contagious.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, the former Maury host, show's not on the air anymore. He's 84 now, is partnering with DNA Diagnostic Center, the same DNA testing lab his daytime talk show relied on to settle guest paternity disputes, as Brian was describing. Jed's baby. During those often explosive segments on the show, Povitch would utter his famous catchphrase, "The results are in," before revealing the child's paternity. The company said in a release that it would be this new test aiming to provide families with an affordable, accurate, reliable paternity test from the comfort of their homes. So really, it's just them using a stupid phrase. It's nothing else. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Boring.
It's basically like the Cola Guard saying, "Hey, our new tagline is please shit in this box."
That should be the new. Sign me up. Shit in a box. I'm ready to go.
Please shit in this box.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm down with that.
I had to look it up because I wanted to make sure that Maury's real first name was Maurice. Like that Maury is short for Maurice, and it is.
It is, okay.
Confirmed. It is, yes. He's Maurice Povitch.
Nice. And Connie Chung was never Connie Povitch, right? That just sounds wrong.
Yeah, I think she said she's keeping her established brand of. So I'm curious if she legally changed, like if she.
I'm sure she just kept her name.
She's Constance Chung.
So Constance Chung has to be way.
Maurice Povitch and Constance Chung.
She must be a lot younger than him. Let's see.
She's 76.
Oh, geez. Well,
so
not 10 years.
Only about 8 years.
8 years, yeah. Okay, well, that's less than I thought, but she doesn't ever seem like that she's in her 70s. That blows my mind.
I know. She looks great.
I like Connie Chung. He probably looks like an old lizard by now. Anyway.
He probably does. The results are in. You're part lizard.
Yep.
You're an
part
iguana.
lizard, and you were the whole time. An Oregon family has finally legalized pumping your own gas after 70. Oregon family, sorry. Oregon, the state of Oregon, finally is the word I was trying to read.
Yes.
Legalizes pumping your own gas after 72 years. Now that I think about it, last time we drove through Oregon, I think I remember being surprised that I couldn't do it.
Yeah, she couldn't do it. No, we did one of my favorite road trips of all time, maybe my favorite road trip of all time. We started in Seattle and drove down the Pacific Coast Highway all the way to Santa Barbara, or actually all the way to Los Angeles. And I had no idea before entering Oregon that you couldn't pump your own gas there. And it was just so weird. It's like, great, so now you have to pump my gas. I sit here and just watch you.
Yeah.
And now I have to tip you because you did a thing that I was fully prepared to do.
Yeah, you could totally do yourself, and in every other state, you do exactly that your entire life, and then suddenly Oregon's like, nope, we got our ways here.
Yeah.
Well, that's no longer the case.
I've always wanted to say, fill her up.
Yep.
Fill her up, my good man.
That's right. At about age 10, age 12, Maury Povitch would have seen this law enacted, but now this many years later.
Oh, wow. No kidding. Look at that.
Yeah. This many years later, they're repealing it. Let's see. They repealed it. They say there have been, the intermediate years and exceptions, notably in rural counties. So that's been going on for a while, since 2017. During wildfires and heat waves since 2020, they've had exceptions. But House Bill 2426, as proposed, would require gas stations to staff half of the available pumps, but allow the other half to be self-service. So they're not even going all the way. They still are. It's still like half those pumps need to be serviced or, manned. And then the other half Brian can go fill his car with.
Give me an app that shows me where the ones I can go to.
That's a weird thing to keep around.
Yeah, it really is. It just feels like so old timey, so of an era. But then again, I guess the country, I don't know, is going back to some of those old and discriminatory ways, and I guess
let's be antiquated. Why not?
Yeah, let's
what was I going to say about that? I remember the first time I think we went to California or something when I was a kid. And I remember, I was probably 12 or 13. So I was a young teen. And going to California and my dad having to pay for gas first and then pump it. You had to go in, pay for what you said you were going to do.
Yeah. And
then go out and fill the car and try to get it to the exact penny of the $50 or the 25 or whatever you paid.
Right. I mean, before it was probably the early, if they even had them yet, credit card readers to where you basically had to go in and give them cash or write a check and say, I'm going to do $18. I'm going to fill up my tank, $18 worth of gas, please. Or probably even back then, even less than that, $14 worth of gas. Boy, gas prices sure are high, aren't they? All right, I signed it. Here's my check.
It's crazy because nowadays, you don't even think about it. You just swipe your card and you get out of there.
Exactly, yeah.
But back then it was like, and when I was, driving a car in high school, we would always fill whatever I was going to do and then go pay. But then they states with probably high rates of people ripping them off.
Like if you weren't in South Jordan, but maybe you were in, I don't know, Orem, they might require you to go in and pay first before you.
Yes, Orem, the high crime capital.
I don't know what the high crime areas of Utah are, if there are any.
There are a couple. We got North Salt Lake, which is a little sketchy, and then
Draper.
Draper's like rich jerks.
Draper's the hoi hoi.
Yeah, big time hoi hoi. And then I guess Ogden maybe has a little bit of scruff going on. Okay,
all right.
But yeah, for the most part, we're all right.
Yeah, we have an Aurora.
Oh, it's Aurora, your zone there?
That's when they filmed Cops in Denver, they film it in Aurora.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, when I was a kid, West Side meant crime, but now it doesn't at all.
Oh, yeah. No, it's the other for us. It's East Side means crime. Even East Sides of cities, like the East Side of Arvada is a little more crimey than the West Side of Arvada.
East Side, when I was growing up, used to mean rich and affluent, and now it means boomers and bad opinions is what it means if you live on the East Side. Yeah.
Listen, if we learn anything from the Jeffersons, you're moving on up when you move to the East Side.
Yeah, that's what they said. That's what they told me.
That's right. Then you finally get a piece of the pie.
Yeah. Yeah. And that really weird, tall, white neighbor guy.
He was like Lurch, I think is what. They would have called him Lurch had that not been taken by another TV show.
He was rather lurchy. No question about it. He was on Breaking Bad once, though. That was fun. Or no, Better Call Saul. Anyway.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah, some lawyer on Better Call Saul season 2 or 3, maybe.
They had the guy who was on from the Jeffersons.
Yeah, he's still around.
Hilarious.
It's actually kind of a cool, some of these actors, they just get cooler the older they get.
Yeah.
He's like that. Yeah. He just got cool.
Huh.
And I got
Benedict, okay.
I was so sad about the passing of Alan Arkin, sorry. Adam Arkin's still alive. I love that guy and almost everything I've ever seen him in, and I realized that I had never seen Glengarry Glen Ross, which I was always told was this amazing movie,
really?
Right? Yeah, I'd never seen it. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to skip right over Parasite again and watch this. So I did.
I'm not, you know what? I am not at all. I feel that was a very good choice. I feel like that was Glengarry Glen Ross, that whole Alec Baldwin speech, You've probably seen all of the the SNL parody, the toys, the Santa Claus and the toys.
Yeah, it almost felt like watching it for the first time, and it happens early. It's like the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's all very mammoth dialogue, very fast paced, all this stuff. And I remember seeing it this time, or I saw it this time, and it felt like almost a parody of something else because I've seen all the parodies before, and I didn't realize how tied to it was. But anyway, that movie is amazing, and Jack Lemmon is insane in that. He's so good. Not Jack Lemmon. Yeah, no, Jack Lemmon.
Jack Lemmon.
Jack Lemmon's amazing in it. If you've never seen that movie, and it's stressful. It reminds me why I'm really glad I don't work in the 9 to 5 anymore.
Sales. No kidding.
Oh my gosh. Dude.
By the way, Paul Benedict is the actor we were talking about from Jeffersons, and if you're unfamiliar, just Google image search him, and you'll see that the guy's face is half chin.
Yeah.
His mouth. When we learned to draw faces in art class, Scott and I, we were told you draw your little oval, you bisect the oval, and your eyes go there. No, his mouth goes at that halfway point.
He made it seem like our art teachers were lying to us, is what it made. He made it seem like.
He really did, exactly. Wait a minute. Yeah. What about Paul Benedict?
Yep. But this guy here, this second image search here, where he's a mustache and looking older, that's what he looked like in Saul, and he was very good in that role. It's quite good. Cool. Still working, that dude. So, and he's tall, isn't he? Or maybe Hollywood tall.
Yeah, I think he's that might be it. He's Hollywood tall.
Because Hollywood tall is like 6 foot, It's like everyone's like, oh, Jeff Goldblum, he's so freaking tall, and I'm like, I'm taller than Jeff Goldblum, just by this much, just by a little bit, but he's like 6'2.5" or something. All right, moving on. I also saw him, but I'm going to talk more about that on Recommendals tomorrow.
Cool.
Let's see what else. Actually, I guess that'll do it. We're going to take a break. Right. When we come back from the break, we'll talk to Bill.
Okay.
He's got stuff, I'm sure. And a little bit of science talk with Bobby as well. Bobby was just here. Now he'll be back. We'll see what he has to say. And a few more things to finish this out today, so stick around after this song that Brian hath brought.
Yeah, this is a band from Boston, a 6-piece band called The Burning Paris. Brand new album is going to be coming out later this year, but for right now, this is first track you're going to be able to hear from it. The upcoming album is called Everything is Broken and I Don't Feel a Thing. So hopefully you're ready for some good old down-tempo rock, kind of like the band Low. If you like Low, Tender Sticks, you'll like this. From the upcoming album Everything is Broken, I Don't Feel a Thing, here is The Burning Paris and The Fire Lines.
Heinz ketchup. Think how good it's going to taste when it finally gets there.
Well, this guy owes me bacon now.
That was Arnold Schwarzenegger, by the way. Hey, we're back.
Oh, wow.
Everyone, welcome back to the show. Hey, Brian, who was that again?
The song, The Fire Lines. The band, The Burning Paris. The upcoming album, Everything is Broken and I Don't Feel a Thing. Check it out today.
Sounds like my week. Everything is broken and I don't feel a thing.
Everything is broken and I can't poop in the house.
That's right. Oh my gosh, dude. Just the memory of it all. So bad. Real quick here, the song you had me play yesterday for the outro song, the cover.
The cover, I Can't Help Falling in Love, Haley Reinhart.
That was so good.
Yes. She's got one of those voices that can melt butter. It's just so warm and comforting. It's like a nice hot weighted blanket.
I repeated that a bunch yesterday. I played it a whole bunch and I loved it. Okay. So speaking of loving things, let's love on Bill Duran.
Let's love on Bill.
Yeah. Let's give him some love.
Sure.
Some friendly man love.
He's earned it. He's definitely earned it.
That's weird. It added him and then didn't. Hold on. Let's try that again. Add. Create. Okay.
Oh, back is totally hurting.
Oh, we don't want that. We don't want to hurt back. We want that to be good.
We don't want it.
Here's this, everyone.
There's still something wrong, isn't there, Bill?
No, there's nothing wrong. Bill over at punishprops.com never does anything wrong. He just makes cool stuff, and then we have to just groove on it and wish we could do cool stuff. And then maybe sometimes we get inspired to do cool stuff because, well, he's an inspiring guy. Hey, Bill, welcome to the show.
Hello, good morning. I have missed all of you.
Oh, we've missed you too. That's right. We had a holiday since the last time we all
Right,
talked.
and then I was out of town before that.
That's right. You've had 2 weeks out of here. It's like almost not a month, but 2 weeks since we've talked to you last. Or I guess it's been 3 weeks technically since we've spoken to you. That's a really long time. I imagine during that time you've done everything in the world, and now you can just tell us what it was that you did.
Finished making everything.
Yeah,
everything's done.
Sure.
No, I went on a family trip, not a vacation. A trip. There's a difference.
Yeah.
You need a vacation after you get back from a family.
Exactly.
Trip. That's the difference.
Yep.
I don't usually redo a deck on vacation, but I definitely did that on this family trip.
You redid a deck, like the entire process of redoing a deck, tearing out the old one and all that? Or
Yep.
Oh my Lord, that's a lot.
Holy
man. Oh yeah.
Okay.
But that's not what I'm here to talk about today.
Oh, all right.
No, today I want to talk about an event I went to called Flight Fest. So we flew. My family lives in New York. However, my brother and sister-in-law live in Ohio, and there's an event in Ohio called Flight Fest. So we flew into Ohio, met up with my brother-in-law and our 2 nieces. My brother-in-law is an Air Force engineer, and he is a super RC plane nerd. And this event, Flight Fest, which is held in Malvern, Ohio, is a gathering of RC plane enthusiasts. So over on YouTube, there's a channel called Flight Test. They're also in Ohio. A huge channel. They do tons of cool stuff with RC planes and drones and all that. And every year they host this event called Flight Fest. And hundreds, maybe thousands of people show up. It's a whole weekend-long event sort of thing. We only stayed for the one day because we had to get going on to New York. But it seems like most people would bring a camper, bring their RV or tents or whatever, and stay for the whole weekend. It's pretty cool. And we might go back next year and plan to stay for the whole weekend because that seems like the thing to do. People had cookers and stuff set up.
Oh, cool.
Very community oriented, lots of friends, you could tell.
It's like Ohio's Burning Man.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Flying Man. So hold on a second. I'm looking at some of these pictures and they seem like some of these planes are very customized, very hand built. And that's the idea, right? Everyone's bringing everything from, super high end fancy business to I made this.
With camels to, yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
Huh.
There were lots of families and lots of kids. I think one of the sort of defining features is that they were very into getting young people into the hobby, which is very important. And I thought it was really cool because I like making more makers, and that's exactly how you do it, right?
Right.
You make events for children to show up, low barrier to entry, and there's a ton of activities for them and anyone to do. They say anyone from 8 to 88 or something like that. So, for example, if you show up without a plane or anything, everything you need, you can buy there. You can buy a kit to assemble these foam board planes. They make their planes out of basically foam core. So it's cheap, it's lightweight, it's easy to fix.
Yeah.
And they have all the electronics there. And it's a little wild, too. The electronics are starting to get cheaper than the food. There's little microcontrollers and stuff for $5, and the 9-inch pizza I got there was $15. So a little wild.
It's almost perfect for you though, because you can get that stuff cheap, and the little microelectronics probably cheaper there than you get them at your local hobby store, Amazon, or wherever you tend to get those.
Sure, I bet. The folks at Flight Test, the way they make their money is they design these kits for different planes. They give out free plans if you want to just buy your own foam and build your plane at home. You can download a free template to cut out all the foam and make it yourself, or they have a warehouse full of plane kits that you can buy. They have their own branded motors and controllers. They had the receivers and transmitters and everything you need. Most of the planes are battery powered, so you could just show up and have a kit to build right there. And then they also have all these tents set up, and several of the tents were for workshops with organized builds So you can sign up for one of these workshops, show up, you have the kit right there, and then someone will guide you through the entire build for a couple hours, and then you can immediately go and fly the thing.
That's awesome.
Which I think is just really, really cool. Again, like I said, a lot of these workshops and kits and stuff were designed for kids, and my two nieces did one of the workshops. So they showed up, got their kits right there, sat down and had someone talk them through it. There were a whole bunch of other people building their kits, and there was someone walking around helping anyone who was having trouble. So that way everyone gets to finish their kit. If they need help, they get it, and then they can go right out and fly it. The girls made these little gliders, just hand-thrown gliders, which is a really great entry point for the hobby.
Sure.
And for learning how to build stuff. And, of course, learning how to fix them. And learning how to deal with things when your sister breaks your plane.
Oh.
That's a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
Yeah, some life skills have to be learned.
Absolutely. Lots of life skills. Of course, Brittany and I were there. We got to help our nieces fix their planes and help guide them through the sibling turmoil that was involved.
Yeah.
And everyone got to have a whole lot of fun.
That's awesome. That sounds like a total blast. I don't, when I was a kid, I wanted to be more into RC than I could be because it was cost prohibitive to do anything cool that I thought was cool. So it was a lot of Radio Shack crap, that I would bring home.
Yeah.
And it was
some realistic stuff.
Yeah, probably. It's probably the realistic name. And they were usually the crappy ones where it was like just the little trigger controller. There weren't like two sticks or...
Oh, those RC cars where like you pull the trigger and it goes forward and you push it forward and it goes backwards and turns a little bit.
Yeah. That's basically it.
A rip-off.
It's such a rip-off. And they've lasted like a day, and they're, big triple C or double A they've been C batteries. Big C batteries just littering the house because you'd only last like 10 minutes in those things. And then I had a tethered one. That's the dumbest thing you could ever buy, by the way. And it only worked.
Yeah, wired? Jeez.
Yeah, it wasn't even like remote controlled. It was wired to I had to run with the car to be with it. So this stuff makes me wish for a different childhood when I hear you describe it. So
I was very fortunate. One of the coolest things my dad did. So my dad races sailboats. He's very into it. He's been into it for 60 years now. And he did it a lot when I was a small child. But when I was 10, my mom went back to school to get her degree and become a teacher. And Dad quit racing sailboats. He gave it up so that he would have more time with us.
Right.
But to sate his sailing lust, he started building RC sailboats. So we had a little part of our basement that he walled off. It had a fireplace in there, and we turned that into a hobby shop, a little hobby workshop.
That's so cool.
And he started these sailboats, and we got to help him with the sailboat. And then we got cars, and then we got an RC plane and boats. Like, it turned into just the coolest little RC shop in our basement. So for my teen years, we did that a ton. Now, we had a plane, but here's the thing. It was like one of those balsa wood planes. We spent months building it. You had to like iron this mylar over the structure. It was gas powered, which was just terrifying and inconsistent. And then flying it, if you crashed it a little bit, it was like a week or two to fix it. It was this huge commitment, and it was pricey. Now we got to have a lot of fun with that plane until eventually it lost. My dad was flying it. It lost contact with the receiver and just kept going into the trees until they had to go and find its remains. The planes,
love it.
We were able to rescue the engine and the electronics, which was good, but the rest of it was a total loss.
I'll bet. Yeah. No, that's great though. What a fun thing. I didn't have that. I want that.
It was really cool. Now the neat thing about the way that the guys at Flight Test do it is it's not that huge commitment, right? It's a much cheaper kit, and especially that everything's made out of foam core. Like I said, super easy to fix. Super fast to fix, just hot glue stuff back together. You're in the air 10 minutes later. Yeah. And there was a lot of that happening at Flight Fest.
Nice.
There was lots of flying, obviously. You got a lot of the repetition. Build the plane, fly the plane, crash the plane, fix the plane over and over again all weekend long, which means people would do lots of weird, fun stuff.
Mm.
They would try out and experiment a lot, which was really exciting.
Yeah.
And then my favorite event to watch, every few hours they did something called combat. Everyone would throw their planes in the air. There were over 100 planes in the air. It was just chaos. And the last plane in the air wins.
So
That's
it's
it.
demolition derby with RC
yeah.
planes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you've got to just put your junkiest, like when they hit something else, do you see them racing over to like where all their pieces are falling down to at least retrieve the motor? And
No, you gotta wait. You gotta wait till it's done. Till all the planes are out of the air.
Yeah, that would
everyone...
make sense because otherwise you've got more parts raining down
just
on you.
Anarchy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I don't know if I'd like that. I mean, I'd love to watch it, but I would feel so like, oh, I spent so much time building that thing, even if it was a little junk plane that I knew I was using for this purpose.
Right.
Sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. People purpose build them for that event, and also people have
yeah.
multiple planes too.
Right.
And if your plane gets totally demolished, you can just rescue the electronics and build a new one out of foam.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was going on. So it's a really fun event, and it encouraged a lot of creativity, a lot of learning of fun maker skills, and I had a really great time.
Are you going to suddenly, I don't know, we're suddenly going to get a bunch of remote control stuff from Bill? Are you going to go nuts on this stuff now that you've been exposed in this way?
I think I'd like to build something for next year's event if we end up going. Like I said, my brother-in-law lives nearby, and he's way into it, and he's trying to get the girls into it too.
Yeah.
The guys at Flight Test have a kit for the duck or the tailspin plane, the Sea Duck.
Mm.
So it's one of those planes that can land in the water, and I'm very into that. So I'm thinking maybe I'll buy that kit and put it together, and I can paint it up to look all like the cartoon. I think that would be super fun.
That would be really cool. Yeah.
That would be great. Well, I think this stuff sounds awesome, and I can't wait for you to go again and tell us even more.
Yeah,
I'd go to this.
And if I'm building this plane, I'll share that build elsewhere.
The process, please do. Yeah.
If I still lived in that area and had a camper, why wouldn't you go to this? Just go.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
We might fly nearby, rent a camper, and go and stay the whole weekend. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, that sounds all right. My grandparents used to do this. They just travel the country and go to all the camping events that would just let you have a camper there. They would go to this and not give two shits about the planes. They just
yeah.
Just get your grill out.
Yeah.
Watch the carnage.
Yep,
that'd be awesome.
Make greasy eggs and pancakes and oh man. Well, this is great as always. Hey Bill, you often have a little bit of a bonus link here for us. What do you got?
I do. So at the event, another YouTuber, Peter Stripple, was there. He does a lot of fun experimenting with RC planes, and he tried to make the longest RC airplane. And it's
oh my God,
it is obnoxiously long, and we got to watch him fly it, which was really cool. And of course, he put a video up on his channel. So it's Peter Stripple, Stripple, S-R-I-P-O-L.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I can't believe that thing can fly.
That's wild.
Yeah. It's absolutely absurd. And they kept making it longer. They flew it, and then it flew just fine, so they made it longer, and they flew it again.
And it's just basically adding another chunk of fuselage to the middle.
and more wings.
Oh, so more wings.
I think it had 5 wings by the end of it.
Wow.
And then they flew it in the combat at the end. And I won't spoil how that went, but you can make some predictions.
Yeah, it feels like the length maybe worked against it in the combat competition. I didn't realize this until this video because I was just looking at their website before, but they set up these like landing strips. That's so cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. Well, go check that out. That How Long Can an RC Plane Be on Peter Striple's channel. And, of course, punishprops.com, as well as the Punish Props YouTube channel is the place you want to go and be. Bill, it's always good having you on, man. I'm glad you had a good time, and it feels good to have you back. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, friends. Bye.
Bye.
See you, Bill.
Wow, look at that
thing.
I
hope Bobby checks this video out because this is so... Oh, my God. Looking at this massive thing trying to get off the ground. Yep. Oh, and it's flying. Wow.
Yeah, I can't believe it worked. To be honest, I would have been like, nah. My money would have been on that doesn't fly at the big size.
No kidding. 5 pairs of wings. It's like a...
It seems impossible to me, but...
Yeah.
What do we know? We know this, though.
Science!
Bob is hungry, and the soup looks good.
Oh, look who it is. It's one-time guest host from yesterday, Bobby Frankenberger, joining us today to talk about some science. Bobby, welcome back to the program. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing all right.
All right. You
well,
hesitated.
That's not very convincing,
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking about it yesterday on the show. It's with my child gone. It's been a rough business.
It's hard, right?
Aww.
I don't like it. I don't like it when the kids leave, especially when they're that young. I always hated it if they went away for a
I feel like I can't get anything done, and she's having a rough time too. So it's like both of us, and
yeah.
The worst part is cleaning up after all the parties I had after Tristan moved out.
Woo! It's like Blur. Well,
That's right.
Look, Bobby, I understand, and I hope the hope is right that she'll come home and go, oh, actually, that was kind of great. I met friends I never would have had otherwise. I kind of wish I could go
I'm not so sure
again.
that's going to happen.
Yeah, you feeling?
She's struggling with like I've told you yesterday. She's a pretty anxious kid.
Yeah.
And she's struggling with some homesickness really hard, some just struggling. And it was like I was getting to the point last night where I was like, maybe I'll just go and get her. But then I thought after because she keeps asking to come home.
Mm-hmm.
And after like a minute, I thought, you know what? No, like I feel like if I were to do that,
yeah,
part of it would be that I'm trying to relieve my anxiety, which is not fair to her.
Right.
And then the other part of it is like I feel like if I go and get her, that's teaching the wrong lesson.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, like even if it's hard, I feel like there's a valuable lesson to be learned in knowing like hard things. Sometimes you can't just run away from them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're sticking it through, and she by all accounts, like she seems to be having a good time. I think but you know, like
how long will she be away when the whole thing is said and done?
For 5 nights. So
okay.
Total of like 6 days.
As long as this place isn't called Freddy's, she'll be fine.
Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
So I think she's doing all right. She's a ruminator. She ruminates on like negative thoughts or bad things that have happened and stuff like that. And so
yeah.
It's kind of like constantly reminding her you're doing a great job, and remember, try to focus on all the positive things, and also trying to get her to stop calling me so often. Yeah. Not that I don't want to hear it, but I think that sends her back into that like homesickness mode, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And she's also not taking advantage of the fact that, you know, she could be using that time to go out and hang out with friends.
Yeah, exactly.
The hard thing, well, whatever. You gave birth to me. This was me as a kid. I would get fiercely homesick when I would be away. And I hated it. And I remember nights were the worst part. Not because you were just
God, I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Just because like it makes me feel better that's what it is. Like all day she might text us or sometimes she'll even forget to call and maybe she's feeling down or something like that, but she gets through it. And then the nighttime comes and like my stomach is turning because she's having a terrible time and the nights are rough.
Yeah. Nights are the worst part if you're a homesick kid.
Yeah.
Because you're just you're left alone in your own head. You're in a strange place. You're trying to sleep. It's almost impossible. Like I get this way, you know, so there have been times as an adult I still get this way. It's a thing, man. It sucks.
Yeah.
Totally.
But you're doing the right thing, and she should totally stick it out. And she'll come home she'll come home and feel better that she did the whole time, you know?
Yeah, and we'll give her a big hug, and we'll all be really happy on Thursday that she's back.
Where'd you guys get this? Hold on, my daughters just both showed up. Where'd you get this? The planetarium?
Hey, okay, perfect for science time.
Real quick here, I'll show the chat room.
Oh, that's hilarious. Look at that.
This is the tiniest He-Man action. Whoops, I can't get full camera. Hold on. There we go. Look at this tiny.
So tiny.
Mint on card.
Mint on card.
Mint on postage stamp.
You can open it. He moves. He has tiny weapons and he's adjustable. Oh my gosh, I have the power.
Is that the planetarium?
Oh, what's this one? Yeah, the planetarium. This actually works. It's a tiny little viewfinder.
Oh, that's awesome. A little Viewmaster.
Where'd you guys go there for? Just for funsies? Oh. Did he infect that place with the bum flu as well?
I guess He-Man was the masters of the universe.
That's true. It would be appropriate for a planetarium because that's where you see the universe.
Yeah.
That's great. Why He-Man, I wonder? That's odd. Okay. Sorry for this interruption, Bobby. This is your segment.
It's okay. I do want to hear about the masters of the universe. So.
Yeah, they just showed up and said, "Look at these, Dad." Okay. Speaking of weird kids, but anyway, I'm sure she'll be great when she gets home. So.
Yeah, I think so. But as a result, I didn't prepare anything for today, but I do have something to talk about.
Oh, good.
Because I've also been flight planning. I've got a night flight tonight, so anyway.
Cool.
Are you nervous about your
Are
night?
you a little nervous about it?
Yeah.
I can tell you sound a little.
Yeah.
No. It's just it takes work to flight plan. I'm not nervous about it. I'm ready to fly.
You're a pro now.
Just give me my damn license already.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this though about a night flight. Is this is this your first night flight or is this just another of many?
It's my first. I've told you what a cross country is before. It's just a 50 nautical mile distance flight at least. It's my first night cross country. I've flown at night at our airport and done 10 takeoffs and landings at night before. So I've seen what flying looks like at night, but I've not done a cross country at night yet.
Okay. I'm excited for you though. That sounds like a step.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's just the planning. The point was that the flight planning takes a lot of work, and so I had to work on that this morning instead of searching through the news. But fortunately, I have big news from last week.
Oh, good.
That we can talk about.
Oh, fantastic.
Which is that that just recently, just last week, in fact, the people at Nanograv, it stands for North American Nanohertz Observatory for Gravitational Waves. They've collected some pretty excellent data on gravitational waves, and they've basically used a brand new method, and this is the exciting thing. They've used a brand new method to detect gravitational waves and have determined that everything, the whole universe, but that includes us, we are awash in a constant hum of gravitational waves. They're like a veritable ocean bobbing us up and down in gravitational waves. And it's pretty amazing because do you guys know what gravitational waves are?
Well,
no.
I mean, I think we know what gravity is.
We know what gravity is, and we know what waves are. But
but I guess what I'm saying is like we're on the planet. The planet is causing the mass of Earth is causing gravity for all of us right now. We all weigh something and are pulled down.
Except for Sandra Bullock, who's
except
floating
for
out in
her,
space, but the rest of us, yes.
Or the Finnish, they're all floating around about 2 inches above the ground.
Sure.
But the rest of us are in the meat space. We are getting pulled down to the Earth because of those reasons. Yeah. You're saying this is an addition to that? There's like some other kind of things.
So it's very, very complicated. There's a gravitational field that we live in, that we exist in. That's what causes gravity, is this gravitational field. And whenever you have a massive object, an object with mass is what I mean, it warps space-time, and it has an effect on that gravitational field, and it makes objects, that's what makes objects gravitationally attracted to each other, like the Earth to the sun, the moon to the Earth, right? Mm-hmm. Whenever a massive object, so normally that just creates a force and exerts a force and warps the space-time around it. Right. Now the space-time is quite literally the fabric of our universe. Okay.
Right.
It is all around us. It's kind of like the Force. It's all around us. It flows through us.
But far fewer midichlorians.
Yes, exactly. Instead, there are what I think gravitrons is what they call it, and it sounds very sci-fi-y, but that's what it is.
That was a video game, I think. Gravitron? I think it was.
Maybe.
It was, yeah. I kept crashing my little spaceship into the moon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So whenever an object with mass accelerates in any way, it creates waves or ripples in space-time.
Okay.
And they call them gravitational waves. Now, normally these are too small to ever detect. And I'm talking about any acceleration. You move your arm, and technically it's happening because you're accelerating your arm in space, right?
Right.
They're just going to be so small that you can't detect them.
Sure.
But when we can detect them is when supermassive objects accelerate in space. Now, what an acceleration, and they have to be accelerating very, very quickly. So what types of things are we talking about? We're talking about pulsars or neutron stars, or black holes whenever they are accelerating. Now, when I say accelerate, I don't necessarily mean like on a highway. It's not like it's going in a straight line and putting its foot on the accelerator and increasing its speed. Acceleration
like
happens
that old lady at the Walgreens, Brian, or wherever
exactly.
you were. Yeah.
Yes, just
right. When that collision happened with your car, there were gravitational waves were made.
Sure.
We could not detect them, but
those are, you know what they call those? Glados waves. That's what those are called. Glados waves. It's the official term.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But acceleration is defined not just as changing your velocity in a straight line, but whenever you change your velocity in any vector. And so that's a lot of math words that I just said, but what I mean is the take-home point is that an object when it's moving in an orbit, since it's constantly changing its direction, even if it's going at the same speed, quote unquote, because it's constantly changing its direction as it moves around in a circle, it's constantly accelerating because its velocity is changing because velocity it's constantly turning. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, I get that.
Okay. So when two massive objects like two black holes or two neutron stars are orbiting each other, they will start to get closer and closer together and they'll orbit super fast. So their velocities are changing very quickly and they create ripples in space-time. So like imagine two speedboats in a lake and they're circling each other, there would be waves emanating around them, right? That's what we're talking about. And so we've been able to detect those for a while.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of LIGO?
Yeah.
I haven't. So let's pretend there's people in our audience who have not heard of this thing.
They probably have
I
not
know
heard,
exactly what it is.
I've heard of it. I don't know what it is though, but I've definitely heard
LIGO,
the term.
it stands for Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory. I love these acronyms in astronomy that don't tell you any more about what they actually do if you don't know what they
Right.
It feels like it's almost
is this a
antithetical.
acronym? Like where they came up with LIGO first and said, let's come up with letters.
Definitely not, because if you know
what
what the individual words mean, it actually perfectly explains what it is. It uses lasers, that's the L. There's these two lasers, and these two lasers are pointed at each other and create an interference pattern where they intersect. They're 90 degrees away from each other, so they're aimed at each other at a right angle, and they create an interference pattern. So what happens is if one of the interference pattern that you can measure looks a certain way, and if you move one of those lasers, then it will change the interference pattern, and not just move it. If you move it in any direction, in other words, even if you get one of the lasers closer or further away, right?
Yeah.
It'll change that interference pattern, and so you would see that it was moving. These two lasers are 4 kilometers long. They're 2.5 miles long. All right. And they have to be so big because that's how much you have to be able to measure in order to detect a gravitational wave, like two black holes circling each other.
Right. Right. And those things are so. I was listening to we were talking yesterday about Brian Cox, not the actor, the astrophysicist guy.
Physicist, yeah.
He was just talking about this idea that those big twisty, like you've got a black hole here and something else over here, and they're so big and massive, and they're kind of going whoosh, 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 and they end up colliding at some point.
Yes.
And then that's the theory, and I'm going to get this wrong, but the talk was it is added to the theory that the universe is rapidly expanding because when that happens, it causes so much energy to go whart that's a part of the accelerated, and we're talking cosmic scale, so acceleration could be a million years, could be a minute. I mean, whatever. But
yeah,
it's like that. It's those events that are causing this massive expansion.
Yeah, some physicists definitely think that could be a source of this expansion because when these two types of black holes collide, it can often create the energy in just the gravitational waves, the intensity or the luminosity of the gravitational wave is larger. Just the gravitational waves is more energy than in all the luminous energy of all the stars in our universe combined.
Wow.
That's how massive of an event this is in just the gravitational wave energy, okay?
Yeah, it's a lot.
So it creates waves in space-time. Now, why does pointing two lasers at each other make it so that we can measure these events? And the reason is because this is the cool science fiction part of it, okay? Gravitational waves, whenever you change gravity, you literally are stretching and expanding space-time. So whenever a gravitational wave from one of these collisions passes through these two lasers from LIGO, and this is not an exaggeration or a simplification. This is literally space-time squishes and stretches and causes the length of those lasers to change.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
The
and
light.
when
So
that happens,
stretching light is what you're telling me?
It is. It's stretching everything.
Right.
It's stretching the thing itself. It's stretching the space between them. But the end result is that because not only does space-time change and change the distance, but it also changes how it stretches and squishes time.
Wow.
It makes it so the photons take just a little bit longer to get to that interference point, and it changes the interference pattern, and they can see that it happened, and they can detect it. So this is not quite the news. So this has been about 10 years or so. They've been able to do this, maybe a little bit less, and they've been detecting black holes smashing into each other for a while using this method. But that limits the length, the wavelength of the gravitational waves that you can detect to a pretty small amount. I know it's a big giant event, but the wavelength of the waves is pretty small, only about 1,000 kilometers. And I know that or thousands of kilometers. It sounds big, but in a universe scale, it's pretty small.
Yeah.
So we're able to do that, right? We're able to see that time itself is stretching and squishing because of these events, and we can see black hole collisions now. But what they did here is they wanted these scientists were not happy with that. They wanted to be able to detect bigger and bigger gravitational waves, and so you can't make it's really unfeasible to make longer lasers to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But they figured out a way, and what they did is they said we're going to look at dozens of pulsars in the nearby galaxy. Pulsars are these stars that are spinning so fast. They're neutron stars that are spinning so fast that it's almost like a lighthouse beacon of light is shooting out either end, and every once in a while some of them will pass, like the beam will cross Earth and we can see them. And so thousands of times per second these stars will spin, and we can measure the ticks,
Ooh, that's fast then for an object.
Some of them
large.
are hundreds of times, some of them are dozens of times, but it's still per second. That's very fast for a star to spin.
Yeah, no kidding. How do we catch it? We just we have things trained on it, and we
have radio waves and radio telescopes and X-ray telescopes pointed at these pulsars, and we're just measuring the ticks. All right,
that's wild.
And so what they did was they theorized if we watch these pulsars, they tick very regularly, like incredibly accurately and regularly. If we watch them, if a gravitational wave passes by it, then the timing of the ticks will change.
Right.
It'll get a little bit faster or a little bit slower.
Right. Micron second, like tiny little. Yeah, but still changes, right? Changes in time.
Yeah, exactly. And they were like, so what we're going to need to do is we're going to watch these. We're going to need to watch these pulsars for a very long time, and we're going to need to watch dozens and dozens and dozens of them in order to confirm all this information. They watched something like 60 or maybe 80 different pulsars in our nearby us in the Milky Way galaxy over many, many light years. And we've been watching it for the past 15 years. And they finally have evidence now of, they call these pulsar timing arrays. They finally have evidence now that there is not just individual waves of energy passing by, but that so many of these giant events, and the size of the events we're talking about are supermassive black holes at the center of galaxies. This is black hole collisions from galaxies colliding with each other. And they're happening all over the place all the time, so much that they describe it like the bobbing, like the waves on the surface of the ocean, waves happening everywhere all the time. And they've detected it. And the wavelength of these that they've detected are light years long wavelengths.
Wow.
Now we're talking about the crest of one wave to the crest of another wave is like light years long.
Wow. That's crazy.
And they can detect it, Scott and Brian.
Crazy.
That's the amazing part is they have a new
This is
tool.
how what's his name finds the Vulcans, right? There's like a we get good enough at detecting shit like this, and then if there's a disturbance big enough, we're like, wait a minute, that's not even normal. That's a warp
break
signature.
right through their stealth technology.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Wow.
So that's the exciting news. That's why all of the science Twitter and science, I guess it'll be threads soon. Science threads.
Yeah. A bunch of my science follows have moved over there, I found.
Yep. People are moving.
That's
cool. And everybody was excited about it. And they even did one of those like announcements,
Yeah.
They were like, in a few days, we're going to have some big news.
Really?
In the world
I
of
love it.
yeah.
Like a teaser, like a little NASA teaser, a little science teaser.
They were just really excited. And can you blame them?
I don't blame them. No, that's huge.
They're so cool.
That's there's certain dead scientists that are sad they're not here for this. This is a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big whoop.
Yeah.
You ever think about that?
Because I've heard it compared to when we kind of knew that cells were a thing, like cells in our body, but we finally built a microscope that can see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what this is. We've known that these types of events must exist, and now we have. I mean, it's not an exaggeration to call this a new kind of telescope that can detect them, and so that means that we should be theoretically we can look further back to events at the creation of the universe. Like that's again not an exaggeration. We can now,
right?
Or the hope is that we'll be able to with this new type of.
Well, right, because once you know what the real time pattern is, that extrapolating where it was or where it'll go, now you can make those mathematical roadmaps.
Exactly, because when we're looking at light, that's what all of our different types, even radio telescopes, you're looking at light. It's just a different type of light. When you're looking at light, it's all subject to interference. It's subject to going through gas clouds in the universe, going through the clouds in our atmosphere. Yeah, exactly. It has to sometimes it gets bent by galaxies and black holes, and light is really, and you have to account for all that, and it's very difficult. Gravitational waves basically don't interact with matter, and they don't get affected by these things. They just move to us. We just have to be able to detect them. So it should be, when we get more experience with this, it should be easier to extrapolate where the sources, once you do all the math, where the sources of all this stuff is and what was going on, where it came from. Which, in terms of universe stuff, when you're talking about light years, billions of light years, you're talking about billions of years ago. You're looking at events that happened that far back.
Right.
And it could be back to the first seconds of our universe's creation.
That's crazy.
That's so cool.
I love it.
I was like looking for visuals because you have to explain things to me like I'm 5. And I found a little great infographic all about it.
Yeah, that's cool. Look at this little.
Look for visuals for sure, infographics and everything, because it is hard to describe this kind of stuff, and it helps a lot if you can see.
I like this one. This is great.
Yeah. It looks like a National Enquirer thing, though, doesn't it? Like, scientists here, universe's background hum.
That's right.
Their layout design and their headline writing came from the 20s.
Yeah, Albert Einstein has sex with his cousin. More at 11. It's like that kind of stuff.
Exactly. It's very cool, though. Wow,
this is rad. I love this kind of crap. Science. Who knew? Bobby,
how does it work?
It's always good to have a little science on the show, and would love to hear more about what you got lined up. I know we talked some yesterday, but what's going on all around science?
Yeah, I talked in a little bit more detail about what I just told you guys on this past episode of All Around Science. That's my podcast name. That's right, All Around Science.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the episode that came out just yesterday. So if you want to hear more, I talk about more about what pulsars are, a little bit more detail about what's going on that. We're also starting a 4-part series about the 4 fundamental forces of our universe, of which one of them will be gravity. So I'll go in coming weeks. I'll be talking more about gravity. But we started with electromagnetism. Speaking of how does it work, we talk about magnets.
Love magnets. Magnets are great, man. How do they work? Yeah. Well, you can find out.
Well, we could explain it to the Insane Clown Posse, and everybody will finally be happy.
Yep, we'll figure that one out.
But check it out. All Around Science is the podcast for all your science.
All your science needs, everybody. Go check it out. It's Bobby Frankenberger. What was your thing on, what's your new Threads name?
At GM Funkytown.
GM Funkytown. That's what we're doing now, everybody. It's all about them threads. So go check them there. Brian is Coverville. I am Actual Scott, by the way. Oh, it reset. Hold on a second. Okay, there it is. I don't know why I did it this time. Yep. I did the same thing as I always do. I've now given up on...
it was a little bit different because I didn't end up in a separate little powwow with Bobby like I have.
No, that's usually when I hang up on, or I leave you guys or call somebody else. In this case, when I reset, it always just like resets Discord. Doesn't make any
gotcha.
damn sense.
Okay.
There's no learning why. I don't get it. But I do know this. This is what I have learned. This show has an end and a beginning, and we're now at the end of the show, with 2 exceptions. I got to read these texts. All right.
Yeah.
One's for Brian. There is no name on this. It just says, Brian, poison is not heavy metal. It's what you find at the bottom of a garbage bin. I mean,
someone not a fan of the band Poison.
Yeah.
And,
well, I think they're just saying, if all they're making the distinction here is that they're not heavy metal, I mean, they were of their time.
It's the 2 sentences together. It's like it's Poison is not heavy metal. They are glam rock or something like that, or or hair metal or blah blah blah. That's one thing. But then it's what you find at the bottom of the garbage bin. It's like,
true.
okay,
they're clearly not fans. Yeah, they got a bias here.
Yes, exactly.
But I'm telling you, at the time Poison was at their peak, people called it heavy metal.
They did, and yeah, it falls into hair metal now because you look at what else is considered heavy metal, and there needed to be some distinctions between what they were.
But it's what we had at the time,
At the time, for sure.
Here's another
kind
one.
Of all lumped into that same bin in the record store.
We talked about embalming and all that, whether you got to be embalmed before cremation, and we got a text about it. Somebody who seemed to know what was going on.
Why would you? Why would you want to put chemicals into the body before you burn it?
Well, in my mind, it was I think this is why we asked the question, because my thinking was, if you're going to have a viewing and do all that other stuff before cremation.
Before cremation, yes, okay.
You got to preserve the body or whatever, right?
That does make sense, yes.
But if you were going straight to it, it's like, all right, we're going right to the oven.
Yeah,
Hurry up and fill them full of chemicals. That wouldn't make any sense.
From gurney to oven. And
yeah.
Anyway, what does this person say?
It says, you were talking about whether a body needs to be embalmed on TMS before cremation. I don't know the answer to that, but I used to live in a funeral home with a crematory, and the bodies were placed in cardboard boxes before they were put into the crematory. Fun fact, love the show. So my dad was cremated, and the way they did it with him was he was embalmed because we had him for the viewing and all that other stuff. Mm-hmm. And then when the cremation came around, they didn't move him to something else. The coffin we bought is the one that they burned the body in. Like, it was a wooden coffin, and that was part of the cremation, and the pushed it through, and the whole thing got burnt. And the only reason I know this is I asked the funeral director. I go, do they just take him out and put him in the oven directly, or do they, how do they do it?
Right there in the
He's like, the reason your dad isn't using, or the reason we didn't do a carbon fiber type, because that's a lot of these are composite materials.
Lightweight. Yeah.
The reason they did wood was for that very reason, because you just feed it right into the oven and you're done. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. If anyone out there's an expert, let us know. I've got some friends.
It does make sense. By the way, I do like his first sentence. If you break it down, is kind of funny. You were talking about whether a body needs to be embalmed on TMS before cremation.
Sentence structure.
It's like Keitel in Pulp Fiction. Now you got a corpse in the car minus a head in the garage. Take me to it.
Yep. The wolf.
Car doesn't have a head. The corpse doesn't have a head.
Speaking of him, my recommendal had him in it, and he freaked me out. In the thing I saw him in.
Your recommendal for tomorrow.
Yeah.
I heard about this kick you're on, and I'm excited to talk about the thing you watch. So
yeah, I'm in a mood at the moment. I guess that new one's out today, I think. According to Bob yesterday, it is. Like, for rent.
Is it really? Like, streaming? Really?
Yeah. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it now. Because yesterday there was this news about it.
Wow, that's quick.
Yeah. Supposed to be able to stream it today.
Amazon Prime Video, $5.99. Look at that.
Yeah. You're renting it. So I think I'm going to be doing that tonight.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got all the movies I want from Alamo Drafthouse right now, but
oh, that's true. They're probably still in theaters with that movie.
It's absolutely still in theaters, and this feels like
it's really fast. I don't know what the deal is. Why so quick? Like, is it just because Wes Anderson movies are always small and they're always kind of, they're definitely they're not a massive crowd pleaser. They're just weird art movies, and maybe that's why. I don't know.
Maybe that's why. We have tickets for Mission Impossible tomorrow night at on the big screen at Alamo Drafthouse. And of course, with Tina's current situation, she doesn't not want to haul oxygen there. So I had to pull in Tristan and say, hey, you want to go see Mission Impossible in the theater tomorrow night? He's like, yes.
I'm hearing very good things.
Good. Ooh, I'm excited.
Yeah,
Good.
I'm
Well, I'll
hearing.
talk about that on Thursday, and I'll tell you about the whole time travel aspect of the new Mission Impossible movie.
Very nice. I can't wait. It's all in the trailer.
It's all in the trailer. Well, it's
that-
right there. It's in the title, Mission Impossible. Of
Yeah.
course, it's time travel.
Yeah, of course it's time travel. How else would you have a mission that was
impossible.
impossible to do? Because time travel is impossible. It makes perfect sense. All makes sense
It
to me
makes
now.
perfect sense. Total perfect
If you
sense.
want to send a text in like these two folks did, 801-471-0462 is how you do it. That'll do it for us. Patreon.com/TMS is the place to support the show. It is the 11th of the month. Perfect time to hop in and get your non-commercial feed that happens up on the Patreon, the pre-show content every week, couch parties on the weekend, art in the mail, and other great monthly benefits that can be yours if you sign up today at patreon.com/TMS. That's it. We're out of here. Give me another cover. And boy, it's going to be hard to top yesterday's. I love that one.
It's going to be hard, but I might be able to do it. Greg for Walkman wrote in, said, hey there, Frank and Beans. On July 11th, happy birthday, Greg.
Let's party.
I heard happy birthday, so I had to play
Yep,
it.
you sure did. On July 11th, I'll hopefully wake up for the 56th year on this beautiful rock. For this special occasion, I would love to hear Sea of Love from the beautiful Chan Marshall, a.k.a. Cat Power. You guys get me through the days till the next Vegas trip. Can't wait to see my Tadpool family each year and tumble down the stairs at the Sand Dollar. I added that
right.
part. Scott, could you tell me if it's too early for a fish sandwich?
Never. Sorry.
Ibit mix.
Ibit mix. You want Ibit mix? I can do that. Hold on. Here we go.
Hey, is it too early to get a fish sandwich?
Hey, it's too early to get a fish sandwich.
It's like the same guy. It's like the same guy. Yep.
Sounds like the same guy. Love you, Greg for Walkman.
Oh.
Oh, that was a bonus.
He doesn't imitate the meme as well as I do.
No,
Scott.
not even close. Real quick, Greg is a saint. We love Greg, right?
For sure. St. Greg is how we refer to him.
And he referenced Vegas and all that. I am so bummed. I mean, I'll get there to see it soon enough, but I'm so bummed that giant dome wasn't done. Now that I've seen it in action, like video and stuff, that's awesome. They need to
Isn't
do the
that thing
Pokemon.
incredible?
They got to do the Pokemon convention again next year, and then they got to turn that into a giant Pokeball. Do it right now, Vegas. What are you waiting for?
For sure.
Perfect.
Yeah, like the whole Nintendo. Yeah, do Nintendo World out there or something. The basketball, like turning it into a giant basketball, that was really cool. But then they showed one where it looked like a glass sphere full of basketballs that were all bouncing around in zero gravity.
Yeah, it looked like a lava lamp of basketballs.
Like a gumball machine full of
It's so cool.
Freaking so amazing.
It's amazing. And I didn't even know that's what that thing was about. I just knew there was construction. I'm like, oh, they look like they're building another little I didn't know what, because no one ever told me. And now I see it in action. I'm like, how did we miss this giant globe? It's like a huge eyeball. They're doing all this cool shit with it.
Even hearing that, it's going to have video screens on the outside so they can show you cool stuff, I was thinking, oh, great. So it's really just going to be giant ads for the strippers direct to your room $39.95. Great. Terrific.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Are they going to turn into a giant boob for the Adult Video Awards when the AVN is in Vegas?
Yeah,
Giant
right.
boob.
Like there's a lot you could do that maybe they shouldn't do, but
Maybe they
could.
should. Yeah, the question is not whether you could.
I remember. So I read something about it. Each of those, so it's LEDs, right? And they're the size of hockey pucks. And so if you get up close to it, you'll see they're these little round dots that are black that are all up and down that thing, and they make up the screen, and it apparently breaks like 15 world records on what it actually does, and
I'm sure.
and all of that. I cannot wait to get up there and see that.
There's a really good, like if you look up YouTube MSG Sphere, again, it still boggles my mind how they just squandered the opportunity to call this thing Madison Sphere Garden as opposed to the Madison Square Garden Sphere. It's so awkward and dumb. The Madison Sphere Garden. Come on.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, there's a great video with Bono on the Edge walking around with a dude, and they're surveying the inside of this thing, talking about, all right, the stage is going to be there. We figured out, this is the cool thing that I learned from that, is that because it's a concave surface inside, they can do 3D effects that work no matter where you are sitting without glasses, because it'll all look correct. As opposed to a flat screen, You have to have the 3D glasses to make those work.
Right,
But if you're sitting in the right spot with a flat screen, you can say, "Oh, that's 3D." We see it every year with the Super Bowl halftime show. They have some sort of weird floor that everyone's dancing on, and it looks like cubes are falling away where the dancers are and stuff like that.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Looks great from one perspective, but if you're sitting on the other side of that stadium, it looks jank as hell.
Right.
With the sphere inside it, they can do complete, like, total 3D stuff no matter where you're sitting and have it all look really cool.
That sounds so cool. I can't wait to
It's
see
amazing. Can't wait to see. We're going to see it in September, me and the D&D group. So I'll report.
See if you can get in there. Can you get in there? Or is that
I might be able to. I don't think I want to. I'd love to see you two again, but I don't have the money to see you two again. So, but I think they'll be doing regular shows if it's open by the time we get out there. I think they'll have other entertainment that you can watch from the inside, like a whole our nation, our world, and our oceans, or something like that. Little interior things that you can watch that aren't the concert, and they clear everybody out, and then they have the concerts.
So cool.
The U2
when they do the moon. I'm looking at it now.
Yes, the moon looks so good. It looks like
incredible.
The moon just fell on Earth, like it crashed into.
Yeah, it's a catastrophic event that no one was warned about, and bam, there it is. But then I saw, I don't know if somebody faked it, but I saw like a Death Star projection.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Like if I was in charge of this thing, I would just be going, all right, what are all the balls? Let's do them all. Everything that's spherical, we're putting it on there, you know?
Yeah. I want the ultimate evil from the Fifth Element, that the glowing ball that looks like lava and ripples and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That's what I want. I want them to do on that thing.
Yeah, it's really, really rad. So
Or
anyway,
just make it look like Gary Oldman's head with a little bit of blood coming through his little plastic visor.
That disgusting thing he doesn't wash enough. Anyway, hey Greg, happy birthday, Greg! This was all about your birthday in our discussion.
Birthday ball talk. Hey, how about from her album covers? Here is Cat Power. She also included this on the Juno soundtrack in 2008. Covering the song by Phil Phillips, here is Cat Power and Sea of Love.
Get more at frogpants.com.
Nobody helps him.
Oh, nobody does help him. It's just sad.
Yeah, I wonder if anyone's helping him now.